Okay, some of you are having some issues when it comes to fractions on a number line when it is greater than one whole. Okay, so if we are looking at our concept development here, we have a number line that has one whole, two wholes, three wholes, and four wholes, right? So normally, it's like if this was a long piece of licorice or maybe like a chocolate bar, and so we are dividing it, but each one is a separate whole. Normally what we've been working with are fractions from 0 to 1. Does that make sense? But now we're looking past that. So when we were looking at fractions that were 0 to 1, okay, your numerator, which was the number on top, was always going to be less than your denominator, which is the one on the bottom, unless it was one whole, whereas one whole would be like 1 out of 1, 2 out of 2, 3 out of 3. Now, when you're working with bigger than one whole, then all of a sudden, the numerator, the number on the top, is going to be larger than the denominator, the number on the bottom. So for this concept development, if we are dividing this into thirds, okay? So that would be like from 0 to 1, making sure I had my 3 pieces, right? And the 0 would be 0 thirds. This next one would be 1 third. This one would be 2 thirds. And then my 1 whole would be the same thing as 3 thirds. Now, because we did not start with 0 to 1 on this concept development, you were just starting with 1 whole right here, then you would be starting with 3 thirds instead of 0 thirds or 1 third or 2 thirds. It would be starting with 3 thirds. Now, before I would start labeling, I would be dividing all of these. Now, from each whole, 1 whole to 2 whole, I'm going to need it divided into thirds again. 3 pieces, right? 1 piece, 2 pieces, 3 pieces. Then from 2 to 3, because those are 2 wholes and 3 wholes, I'm going to divide this into 3 pieces. Okay? And then we've got 3 to 4. 1 whole there, so I'm going to divide this into 3 pieces. Okay. Now, an easy way to do this is my denominator. If we're doing thirds, for instance, my denominator stays the same. My denominator here is 3's. So we've got 3, 3, 3, 3 all along the bottom. Now, if you check for my numerator, it goes up by 1 every time. 0, 1, 2, 3. 3 thirds. So this one right here, if my denominator stays the same as a 3, if my last numerator was 3, this one's going to be 4 thirds, okay? Then this next line, 3 is going to stay in my denominator. My last numerator was 4, so this one's going to be 5 thirds, which then brings us to 6 thirds is the same as 2 wholes. Then we have 7 thirds, 8 thirds, 9 thirds, 10 thirds, 11 thirds, and then 12 thirds. Do we see that? Now, that's if we're working with thirds. What happens if we're working with something else? Like, let's say we're going to work with fifths. Let me erase all of this work here. Okay, my eraser is not quite big enough. Okay, So let's say we're going to be working today with fifths. Okay, that means at that one whole that we're starting with, it's not going to start at 1/5 because it's one whole. We're starting with 5/5. If you need to draw the 0 to 1 to count out your fifths, you can totally do that too if that makes it easier. Now I'm going to need to divide each from each point, 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, into 5 sections. So I'm going to do my, let's see, it's 3 sections. So 1 section, 2 section, 3 section, 4 section, 5 section. So you know you need 4 lines. There we go. And again here. So if I'm starting with 5/5, my denominator, the bottom number, is going to stay the same, and my numerator is going to go up by 1 every time. So this was 5/5. Now this would be 6/5. So this would be 7/5, 8/5, 9/5, 10/5, 11/5, 12/5, 13/5, 14/5, 15/5, 16/5, 17/5, 18/5, 19/5, 20/5. So the big thing to remember is that 2 wholes is 10/5. 3 wholes is 15/5. And 4 wholes is 20/5. Do you guys notice anything about the numerators here? So if the denominator is 5, you're going to be counting up. Hold on, let me erase this one real quickly. Okay. If the denominator, the bottom number, is 5, with each whole number, you're going to be counting up by 5s. So 1 whole is 5/5. 2 whole, 10/5. So like 5, 10, 15, 20. 1 whole is 5/5, 2/5 is 10/5, 3 wholes is 15/5, 4 wholes would be 20/5, which means 5 wholes would be 25/5. Okay, so each whole number would be counting up as if you're counting up by 5s. All right, let me know if you have any other questions, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.